Hey everybody, let's analyze the scene from the Phantom Menace where the Jedi escape and the Queen is introduced. And a shout out to all my new subscribers. Thanks for your support, and I hope we can grow the channel together. And now for the analysis.
Where are those droid cars?
Master, destroy us!
The Neimoidians call these droidicas, but the Jedi recognize them on sight and refer to them as destroyer droids. This signals that the Trade Federation's military power is so well known that the Jedi can recognize their private security forces not only by name, but by a nickname emphasizing their lethality. The Jedi also both react immediately, wielding their lightsabers in defensive positions against a threat they know is coming, a threat so powerful it can even challenge the Jedi themselves. Again, a private corporation being allowed to have private military this strong and unregulated is a dangerous idea, showing just how far the Republic has fallen. It's later implied that the Trade Federation has the security forces for managing their colonies on the edge of the Republic, kind of like how the East India Trading Company was a paramilitary enforcement force for the British in the late 18th century and early 19th century. But that's why the story starts here, with this enforcement corporation of the fringes attacking a Republic system, the first major destabilizing event, accelerating the Republic's decline into oblivion.
Shield generators!
To stand off. Let's go.
Here we see the Jedi using Force speed, and also projecting distractions down the hall, a similar distraction power to the ones Obi-Wan uses in A New Hope. Despite the Jedi's invincible rampage against the regular battle droids just before this, they're forced to use their wits to flee the situation rather than just fighting it out. This serves two purposes. The first, to reset the threat level clock for the next phase by introducing new antagonists capable of defeating our heroes. And the second, to demonstrate that the Jedi rely on a mixture of both power and intelligence.
No match for droid cars.
Sir, they've gone up the ventilation shaft.
This continues the pattern of antagonists underestimating the Jedi, assuming them defeated, learning they escaped somehow, fearing them, and then underestimating them again. While this cycle features most prominently in the Neimoidians here, it's a common thread throughout the saga on a much longer timescale for both sides. The Republic defeats the Separatists, but the war continues. The Sith defeat the Jedi, but the war continues. The Rebels defeat the Empire, but the war continues. Vader defeats Luke, but the war continues. There are countless examples of this throughout the saga, of course, because this constant back and forth tug of war is what makes the story. With each subsequent action, the stakes get a little higher, from the blockade, to the invasion, to the war, to Order 66, to the first Death Star, and to the second Death Star, where we reach the saga's epic conclusion and finally break the cycle with one final important lesson. I understand that Disney, The Mandalorian, the Expanded Universe Legends, and yet unreleased content all have their own takes from there, but in these videos I'll only be focusing on the consistent story saga told through the original 6 films plus Rogue One. Yet again increasing the current tension phase, we get our first glimpse of the Trade Federation army in full, including their AAT tanks and MMT troop transports, foreboding the coming ground invasion of Naboo.
Battle droids.
It's an invasion army.
This is an odd play for the Trade Federation. We've got to warn the Naboo and contact Chancellor Valorum. Let's split up, stow aboard separate ships and meet down on the planet.
This plan is yet another example of Qui-Gon being smart and taking the lead, a character trait he holds throughout the rest of the film. This is important because it makes the viewers trust him, which in turn makes us trust in his assessment of Anakin as the chosen one. It also prepares us for the emotional impact of his death at the end of the film, where the audience is hit with the loss of this mentor figure and his guidance in the same way as Obi-Wan, further connecting us with Obi-Wan as the main audience stand-in going forward. Obi-Wan's relatable fan-favorite status is then amplified as he brings some relief from the new tension with his joke.
You were right about one thing, Master. The negotiations were short.
Sir, a transmission from the planet.
It's Queen Amidala herself.
At last we are getting results. Again, you come before us, your highness.
Naboo having a queen as its leader is again a nice example of Star Wars casually portraying women in positions of power. The queen's dramatic wardrobe also displays significant cultural differences for world-building purposes. So far, we've seen representatives of the Jedi, the Trade Federation, and Naboo. The Jedi are outfitted in simple robes to show their humility, secret power, and mysterious nature. Meanwhile, the Trade Federation officials wear bureaucratic robes, each with a distinct headpiece showing their status, visually demonstrating their value of hierarchy and order. Conversely, the Queen of Naboo has an elaborate dress of striking colors and artistic designs, indicating Naboo's love of the arts, expression, and passion, deeply contrasting the Trade Federation's drab grays and even the Viceroy's own muted red. The Jedi are calm and neutral. The Trade Federation workers are expressionless and drab. Viceroy Gunray has a smoldering red ambition, and the Queen has a burning red passion for her people, all set up in their costume design alone.
You will not be so pleased when you hear what I have to say, Viceroy.
This is a point of the film that has been much maligned by audiences, saying that the Queen's voice is unrealistic, unnatural, uncomfortable, weird, and just not fitting for a young woman's voice. But there are a couple of reasons she speaks the way she does. One is that it makes her seem like an alien entity from another world, further establishing the fantasy space opera setting. It also shows her authority, but in an awkward manner, as though you can feel her struggling to put on a strong front against the scary situation. It prevents us from fully empathizing with her at first, forcing us to think of her not as the young girl she is, but rather as a mysterious and detached ruler. The deep monotone voice clashes with her bright red dress as well, depicting Queen Amidala as a figure maintaining a calm expression to hold back some bright, fiery energy, something released toward the end of the film and later in the saga. The awkward monotone voice, of course, also has the effect of obscuring Amidala's true identity at any given time, in-universe and out, to prepare for the decoy reveal. If Amidala had the regular voice of Padme, it would be much harder for her handmaidens to act as decoys, so the monotone voice is a purposeful facade for strategic reasons.
Your trade boycott of our planet has ended.
I was not aware of such failure.
I have heard that the Chancellor's ambassadors are with you now, and that you have been commanded to reach a settlement.
I know nothing of any ambassadors. You must be mistaken.
The Queen starts off strong and authoritative, but tapers off as she mentions the Chancellor and Republic ambassadors, signaling that she has little faith in her government to protect her planet, but she doesn't have other options. After this scene, the camera lingers on her face so the audience can see her lips quivering with a slight fear. All people have left is a chance that the Republic will save them, and that's an unlikely hope. While it works out all right for Naboo thanks to the Jedi and the Queen's resourcefulness, this profound lack of trust is a rot destroying the Republic from the inside, creating cracks in civilization which eventually erupt into an all-out civil war. Then, in this moment of uncertainty, Amidala confirms the implication that the Trade Federation commonly engages in this sort of illegal activity.
Beware, Viceroy. The Federation has gone too far this time.
We would never do anything without the approval of the Senate. You assume too much.
We will see.
This is the classic threat, the hope, the assumption of good people fighting corruption. The endless refrain of, "You've gotten away with many crimes in the past, but this is so obviously wrong that you won't get away with it this time." Unfortunately, this usually is not the case, in Star Wars or the real world. The real threat of corruption, authoritarianism, oligarchy, and other similar governmental problems is how subtly they establish themselves in the society over time. Every time the Trade Federation crosses a line, they face some pushback, but are ultimately supported by their wealth, their power, their political influence, and their connections. Even when they lose, they come back quickly and easily, with more power than before. The Queen can oppose them vocally, make a motion in the Senate, even oppose them in guerrilla warfare, but without the government intervention she needs, the situation cannot be fully resolved. Without government support, the Queen can only stop Gunray temporarily, delaying and amplifying his next vengeful attack. And the Queen can never get government support, because the government is controlled by corrupt figures, ineffective leaders, power-hungry villains, and the Trade Federation themselves. Even the Trade Federation leadership falls into the trap, briefly, of believing that, this time, they have crossed the line.
She's right. The Senate
It's
will
too late
never...
now.
But even they seem to know deep down that since they crossed that first line into corrupt corporate criminality, making a deal with Darth Sidious, They have been on the road into further power and further corruption step by step, partially due to their own ambitions and lack of morals, but partially due to the apathy of a galaxy turning a blind eye. At this point, they don't know how to stop, and maybe they can't even stop if they want to. With each step, the Trade Federation gains money and power at the expense of the declining civilization around them, eventually leading to a galactic collapse into authoritarianism that ironically takes their very lives. Yet the Trade Federation officials, driven by greed, short-sightedness, and a lack of real opposition, take the next step.
You think she suspects an attack?
I don't know, but we must move quickly to disrupt all communications down there.
Thanks for watching. I hope you found this deep dive interesting. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel and leave a comment below with your thoughts on today's topic. And as always, think critically, be creative, and have a great day.